Hi, I'm Paula Stableford with Duke Interactive Media with Gary Santucci and Charly Chiarelli. And we're here today to talk about the Prairie, Odyssey, a new play that you're working on. And Gary, you're the director of this play?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Yes.
So you are also the owner of the Pearl Company.
Yeah, the Pearl Company Arts Center. I'm the artistic director, founder and artistic director of the Pearl Company Arts Center. Yeah.
So this is a good Hamilton business, and how long has the Pearl Company?
Well, the Pearl Company is now going into its 18th year.
Wow.
And when we say good business, well, it's a business, but what's more important is it's an arts business. It's an arts, so that means we have many artistic successes, but we don't necessarily have financial successes, but enough to keep going.
So what makes you keep going with that, knowing it's not good business sense, but it's good artistic sense?
Well, what keeps me going is basically it's about accepting who you are and knowing who you are and following your path that you know. And because as an artist, you're constantly seeking and trying to discover the truth about yourself. So within the framework of the Pearl Company and the work that I do, that's who I am, and that's why I do it.
And so you're in the city of Hamilton. So how did it come to be creating Pearl Company in Hamilton and not maybe Toronto or another city where you might think that there's a little bit more action?
Well, I am from Hamilton originally.
Mm-hmm.
My family is too. So even though I have lived in other countries and moved and traveled, and even lived in Toronto and worked, but there's always something about your hometown which draws you to it. You know the stories, you have the stories, and you have the history, and that history and those stories are very important, I think, to pass on, to talk about, to record, to write about, and so that's why you're here. It's not necessarily a choice, it's life, the way it is.
So being creative and the arts, that's who you are, that's in your soul then.
Yeah, I think so.
And you want to share that with others?
Yeah, as much as possible, and I think that has always been the lifelong struggle of a performing artist, is the space, right? Where do you do this? And it always been the challenge. So when we opened the Pearl Company, bought the building, and created the space, that solved a huge problem. So my commute to work was walk down the stairs, and that was the greatest thing for me, that I could just exclusively focus on my work and the works of others, whether emerging or professional already. So, and that's no regrets about it. It's been a wonderful experience.
So you created life balance long before life balance was a thing. So.
Well, I think that's what we try to do. We try to create meaning for ourselves within the absurdity of our existence, right? So we're born, we die, as Camus says, and it's the artist who's the absurd hero that creates meaning for oneself through the arts, and that's I've subscribed to that.
So what was the very first performance here at the Pearl Company?
Here at the Pearl Company?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a fringe play. Yeah, it was a fringe play that we had, and that was the first performance. And it I think it was called Whole Lotto Love. It was about somebody winning the lottery or something. It was. And that was our first one, yeah.
And you remember it?
I remember it. I remember all of them, yes.
Have you ever performed?
Oh, I do, all the time, yeah. Whether I'm directing, but I perform in plays, I write my own works. I'm a musician as well, concert guitarist, both classical and flamenco music, as well as world beat jazz. So I try to, have at least 6 performances a year inside the Pearl Company of my original stuff, yeah.
So if I'm a young person, I'm in Hamilton, I'm creative, the world today is very different.
Yeah.
What would you offer someone wanting to start out and wanting to get back to that creative space?
That's a good question. But I think what you do look at, especially after we've been on this lockdown for 2 years, what did we miss? Well, we missed this opportunity like we're having here of talking and sharing ideas and igniting the creative process. Mm-hmm. So I think, as I said, the Pearl Company is about the space, about us the collaborations that come out of it, the things that we tell the stories, we facilitate it, we try to bring things to the next level, inject new life into things, or even do some groundbreaking stuff, right? So I think I've always been about can do, not can't. So people bring me an idea. If it's good, well, let's run with it. Let's figure out how to do it.
That's amazing, especially for Hamilton to create a space for people and a meeting space, and to offer them an opportunity. So,
Right.
so you have a play that's coming up here. It's the Prairie Odyssey with the playwright Valerie Kay. And so, how did this come to be?
Well, this cast, I have a long history with this cast. First of all, with Charly, going back to the 60s. And then Allison and Valerie in the 70s with McMaster, I did a production there, and then Patty Cannon through her work in the Arts Council and subsequently some other performances. So when Valerie brought me to play and asked me to bring what I do to her play, I said it's a no-brainer. Let's do it, because it's a great little story. It's universal, and I think that I can, within the confines of this space here, it gives us a lot of opportunity to really tell that story and touch people with it.
And when you were directing it, what kind of flow did you want? What kind of essence of message did you want to help portray for her?
Well, I think it was a series of vignettes that were strung together, and so what I want to do is make this seamless performance, to utilize Charly's music direction that he brought to it, to support the story, tell the story. I really wanted to see this integration with the visuals that also helped. We had the visuals where we had rear screen projection, and where I've used that effectively in the past to tell stories. So I think one performance so far we've seen how the audience reacted to a blizzard scene, that they actually felt it. So I think that's important, that you find that this, if you can touch people that way with that story, and then at the end of it spur on the discussion and of what it means to each of us, right? So I think that's what I always want to bring to that, where someone goes away with a great night of live theater that touches them in some way, and they go away thinking about it and can't wait to come back to the next performance. It's good marketing as well as artistically a goal.
Perfect. Yeah. Word of mouth is the best marketing tool.
That's right.
Well, thank you. And then we have Chiarelli, and you play Papa in the play.
I do. I saw my involvement more musical, and then I was rather dismayed to see that I had lines. I just thought, well, wait a minute, But as I progressed with respect to the material, I started realizing this works, because there's an integration of Papa and the music, because Papa is a musician, and so that gave me lots of liberty, and Gary allowed me the liberty to be on stage as a musician and be off stage as a musician. It took
just one thing I might say. I was the first time really. I always wanted to direct Charly, because I want him to also I want to have him as an actor, not just a harmonica player or playing himself in many ways. I wanted a nuanced performance, and he did that. So
that interaction, it was more essential, maybe even than Gary thought, because maybe it was because I wasn't giving enough attention to the role of Papa. And hence being rather, which is kind of a contradiction to who I am, because I move, like my hand moves when I talk. That's right. Italian. But,
yeah, that's right. You gotta stand back a little bit.
But I didn't move much when I was delivering lines. So Gary made it clear that let's enhance, let's underscore what the environment is doing through your body. So he said, the wind's blowing, get blown around, or there's stuff like that. So it was a true relationship between director and actor, and it's our first relationship. Our very first relationship was that we cleaned tables at one of the most popular restaurants when we were teenagers.
In Hamilton.
That's where we met. But anyway, that's a side story.
Chicken Roost.
So would you say that you could still learn? You learned something. You experienced. You grew when you did this play.
Look, I don't want to sound cliche, but I'm learning something right now. I mean, I think it's my sustenance is to stay on top of things and to be here now, to be in the environment. It goes without saying that I can still learn.
Right. So you when did you start acting?
Well, maybe at the Chicken Roost. when we were cleaning tables. Gary was more formal, and he moved like a real waiter. Actually, he moved like a real classy waiter.
Right.
And I think I moved like a performer as I cleaned my tables. So, but aside from that, when did I start performing? Well, I can't say when I got the harmonica at age 9. I wasn't performing.
Is the harmonica, was it considered? A lot of people, I do understand what you say, may think the harmonica is not as diverse of an instrument. Is that what you thought, maybe?
I was interested. A lot of people think that,
right?
Because they don't understand its range.
That's
but
true.
I would say that because my purpose for buying the harmonica and playing it was the fascination with the instrument itself. And harmonica players do, because a lot of people tell harmonica players to shut up because they bring it out anytime they want. So it's not formalized. You're not in the studio. You're not getting lessons. So they say, wait a minute, what are you playing the harmonica for? We're eating. The harmonica is that kind of instrument. It's obtrusive in its nature, and the nature of people who play it. It's not that they want to bother the people who are eating. It's just that, it's a harmonica, so I can play it anytime I want, but not realizing that not everybody likes it. Why? My goal was to learn to play it and to take it out at Christmas time, and when my father's singing. He was not a formal singer, but he sang. He loved songs. So I wanted to accompany him in his songs. A lot of people mistake my nature for the desire to constantly perform, but it's not my nature, and it probably, if I wasn't into myself, I wouldn't have tolerated formal education for as long as I did, because you don't pass by flapping your lips around, you pass by listening and passing exams and writing thesis, which I did a lot. So the harmonica, but then I realized at age 21 when I was in Toronto, what I was an incessant songwriter. I've been a songwriter since I was 9. You can pick a more wrong instrument for songwriting than the harmonica. Maybe the trumpet,
right?
Or the flute.
Right.
But the harmonica is up there with the wrong instrument.
But you did both. You balanced it.
Well, it evolved that I did both. Nobody wanted to recognize me as a songwriter because I didn't play chords and I didn't play a chording instrument. I wasn't a singer-songwriter. So at 21, when I moved to Toronto, I realized that the harmonica can be played a very sophisticated way for blues and jazz, in a whole nother way, taking the instrument in one key and playing it in another key. I learned that then. What I knew with respect to what to do was reflected in the play. So to get back to the play,
yes.
I was attracted by the idea of playing the tunes that I played when I was learning the harmonica. Except when I was learning the harmonica, I didn't understand the nuance of one note holding people. I just wanted to know what was the melody and how do you play it. And it's a chording instrument, and there's a lot of things to know about embouchure. This play allowed me to play the songs I'd learned with the skills that I'd acquired in the last, 63 years.
So even in the play itself, there's that nostalgia, and that also brought that out for you, because the play is sort of going back to times when it brings out that sentimentality, that nostalgia. So did that give you that as an actor? Did you draw on that?
As a musician, which is a communication, acting out
right.
The mood of the play,
mm-hmm.
I could draw on that. As an actor, I'm not stereotyped as a prairie farmer, or for that matter,
right.
Maybe as a blue-collar worker, because I come from Hamilton. I suppose I could understand what a sheet metal worker, or the role that I played and then became a farmer. However, I had to understand that all kinds of people went to the prairies, including Italians and lots of Ukrainians, etc. And that I had to relate to the environment and the hardships, and that's not difficult to do because I grew up with hardships. My father was in psychiatric hospital for much of my life, and we were poor. So and I could, with respect to generalizing and understanding the flavor of the play, it was the harmonica part was fairly easy. Picking the songs, those aren't the only songs that I learned when I was young, or the only songs that reflect that era of Dust Bowl, Dirty 30s, etc. There were others, but I had to think about like Goodnight Irene because they're parting, and I loved how Buffalo Gals was used in It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart,
right,
in that beautiful Christmas play. And I thought, that's a beautiful song. It has relationship written all over it. So when Harry's writing letters, picking the songs was a lot of fun, and it wasn't a big challenge because, as much as I say there is a repertoire, but it's nowhere near the enormity of my own repertoire, which
right,
has already 100 original songs, not to mention jazz pieces and stuff like that. I belong to various bands, and I sing with these bands, so lyrics mean a lot. It was a great opportunity to fuse mood with old songs and the old way of playing the harmonica.
That was, and I was here and I watched the first show, and I felt that it was amazing how the harmonica and that one instrument took you back, but carried a lot of the mood and the show itself.
It was an opportunity to display what the harmonica can do in that capacity. None of it was, there was blues harp in the train. When I was doing the train, that's what you call second position harmonica, actually a different key for the same harmonica. And that's a bluesy thing. But other than that, it's sweet, melodious. And to use the harmonica for sound effects, I got to use a technique called circular breathing where you don't have to take a breath. So I can do perpetual sounds of the wind, and then later on of the locusts and the horn. I mean, the car horn is natural for the harmonica, honk, honk. As a matter of fact, some people think that the only thing harmonica knows how to do is honk, honk.
We proved them differently. And there was a moment when everything went lights went out for a few moments. And what happened there?
It's the second time that's happened to me. I was in a play 40 years ago in which there were 1,000 people in the audience, and the electronics and those, the cast had to die as First World War vets. They were acting it out, and my job was, I wasn't an actor, so he put me on board just to play the sweet songs of the First World War. And while I was doing it, my mind said, the electronics isn't working tonight. This dramatic and dynamic closing act of everybody in the trenches dying isn't going to happen. They're waiting for a cue. And immediately I just started playing the harmonica and so that was reminiscent. When I saw the lights weren't working, I thought, it's time. And I'm a performer, not because I'm probably born one, but I didn't develop it till later. We understand dead air. I don't want dead air. As a matter of fact, in this conversation, I don't want dead air.
Well, that's not happening, so we're good there.
So once I saw that the potential here is for dead air, just fill it out. I hadn't done it in 40 years, but since I was in a play in which I was doing all the sound effects, it's a piece of cake to just do it when I thought the lights were working.
Well, as a director, I think there's something happening off stage that we're trying to get our attention. Anyway, that
how did you react to that moment?
Yeah, that moment is what live theater is all about.
Yeah.
Rising to the moment and improvising, knowing your material, and so that it can happen, technical things, but the beauty of it was it came off, and we're the better for it.
It almost felt like part of the play.
Yes,
it just
did, yeah.
it went smooth.
Yeah.
Well,
there was no panicking on the director's part.
No panicking. Yeah.
The two people with whom I work and admire and appreciate, who was a colleague of both of us, is Ron Wiest, who had the art bar, and he always called those moments that Gary's referring to as opportunities.
Yes.
And it's a really interesting nomenclature for thinking opportunity, not only to develop improvisationally new lines or new gesture, but make it better.
Yeah.
Make it better than the script. He called them opportunities.
Especially when you get that freedom to just kind of be yourself and add yourself in there and expand the character for a few moments.
Well, the character of the lighting person also demonstrated thinking on your feet, because
True.
I don't do lighting, I would do sound. I wouldn't have thought of just turning the house lights on and cueing us out with the house lights. That was brilliant.
It was brilliant. You've done this before, obviously.
Yeah.
So you worked with a couple other actors, Allison and Patty and Valerie. And what is your history with as a director,
I guess as I mentioned, I've worked. Val has worked. We've worked here with. She's been in some of my plays, my original productions. Allison as well, and Patty has been involved in another theater company and doing work here. So they've all had history with the Pearl Company, in addition to our long history back in the day. So the first one was with Allison and Valerie at McMaster University, a play by Garcia Lorca called The House of Bernarda Alba, and that was the first time we met, and so we've continued on from there. So, and then Charly, of course, here we are from our early days. And just one quick story about the harmonica, because it's quite relevant. I did have a place, a restaurant. I've been in the restaurant business too. That's theater as well.
But you weren't working for him at the time.
No,
right?
no. I was at a place called Stardust on Duke. It was up on Duke and James, and we had jazz every night, so 1,000 straight nights of jazz. But one night, I was there. We were having the performance, and there was a little alcove that there was a sound was like a harmonica was being played, and it was for the song "All of Me," and I'm going
from a booth.
Really?
And who the hell is playing the harmonica in the audience along with the jazz music? Who the heck? I said hell. I said, who the hell was this idiot playing the harmonica? So I came whipping around the side, and then I was ready to grab the harmonica, and they go, you, Charly!
And we hadn't seen each other in about 20 years.
Yeah.
Now I'll tell
It
you my
inspired
side.
you? Yes, I want to hear your side of the story.
My side of the story is a play that I've been performing in Toronto for quite a number of, maybe even a year and a half or so, came to Hamilton for the first time, and that play is Khufu. Anyway, the point is, I opened the Ontario Workers' Arts and Heritage Centre, and I was alone, and I thought, this is my hometown, I wasn't living here, I was living in Kingston. Where can I go to get some live music? And somebody said, well, go to the Stardust, they have a jazz band there. And I thought, that's cool. And I always have a harmonica with me. It was a chromatic harmonica.
Do you have one with you right now?
In my bag. There's one in my bag. I stop babies from crying in the subway by playing my harmonica. You must always have one. If a bear wants to eat you in the woods, play your harmonica, he'll go away. Or you'll mesmerize him. Point is, I thought, oh, good. And I understood this place because before it was a Stardust, before Gary had it, the Washington Brothers played here. And I would come here and jam, and I used to jam with them at the Navy House. For me, I'm a jammer. I'm a true harmonica player. I don't read music. Anyway, so I went to the Stardust, and there's this fantastic jazz band. I mean, they were better than the Washington Brothers. It's really sophisticated jazz band. Sophisticated jazz bands don't scare me. I figured out their key, just something I'm apt to do. It was a chromatic harmonica, so I played all of me, I'm doing a little of this and a little of that. And I see this guy, he looked very hostile.
Didn't recognize him right away, no?
We didn't recognize each other right away, and it was him that said Charly, and I went, Gary, what the, basically he's going, we stopped with the, he didn't take the harmonica and throw it out. And my question is, what the fuck are you doing here? And basically, I own the place, and that's when we got together again. And we've seen each other a lot ever since then. But we, as I say, we did rotate each other around each other when we were working at. The Chicken Roost was a very formidable restaurant in this town. So the fact that we worked there means that we know about class joints.
Yeah, for sure.
So did you join the band after? Did you sit down together?
No, we sat down and talked. That was not a priority at all at that point in time. It was just like, wow, I've reconnected with Gary, and he owns a restaurant. Last time I saw him, we worked in a restaurant together.
That's serendipity. You're meant to meet.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. As a matter of fact, at this point in time, people refer to us as brothers just because we both have white hair and Italian features.
You have good energy together. See, there's a
not bad.
smoothness in your working.
I had no problem. Gary, I hope you weren't surprised that I take direction well. I think you were probably...
I was surprised. But I think I coaxed it properly.
I like directors. I like taking it. I'm new to the game. I was new to the game of making a film. I understand what directors... they should exercise their power over actors and actors who don't realize that.
But I worked very collaboratively too. I mean, I do suggestions. It's my style. I may demonstrate and just say, well, something like this, or what, think of this, or just very simple things. Because when you're building the characters, it's got to feel natural, and so you need to kind of start integrating the thoughts and the feelings of what the play is about. And so there's subtle things you can do and to make it believable, right? So that's important. So when there's another lot, for example, just a quick example, when one actor says, well, he finally gave in. Well, it's important that you make it look like you were struggling to give in. You just don't give in and walk away, right? So it has to be believable, and I think that's what you try to achieve. The audience feels that it's a believable story, and that everyone is feeling it too in the cast, that they really are understanding that. So. And
did you have a lot of rehearsal time with this play?
Well, they brought the play, having had two previous performances, I call like maybe one-dimensional, two-dimensional performances, because they were Zoom or they were online performances. So that was nice that they came with a sense of the play and the lines, and because I don't give lines. I don't like that. I don't say you have to find the lines. It's not up to me to say, okay, the line is this. I don't work like that. I listen, I watch, and because they're all experienced people, they get it. They understand what I'm looking for and how it works. So we didn't have we had enough rehearsal to get it up to the stage that worked, right? So you don't always have that luxury, but yeah. So.
But I must say, in spite of the fact that we had done it before in the manner in which Gary described, sort of unidimensional. I've been watching interviews. I always watch interviews because I love watching interview shows like Stephen Colbert and etc. Actors being interviewed, and they said what I think. When we came here, as far as I'm concerned, I'd never seen the lines. I had to feel for the lines, but the actors, I see them saying the same thing. He said, give us 6 months away from the lines, and they look brand new. Even if you wrote them, they look brand new. So I saw this experience or iteration of the play as a clean slate. We had a director. Val was the director before, but again, it wasn't three-dimensional, etc. So in spite of, or although we had all those opportunities, this seemed new. This seemed really fresh. New space, new director, slides. They were using slides, but this way, using slides while we're moving around the slides, felt brand new and felt really good.
Well, watching in the audience, you would never know that there is searching for the lines or not feeling the lines. So it was seamless. It flowed very well. And one of the actresses, I think it's Allison, who's not Annie, she played different parts.
Yeah.
So
10.
Yeah, well, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4 parts.
Yeah.
and so how did that come about as a director?
Well, I think what I was looking for was to really expand the story, right? And those characters, although they may have just been mentioned in the original productions, the opportunity was that we had someone who could do all these accents, who could interact this way. So it really contributed to the overall success of the project by expanding on and bringing in Valerie too, and as the school teacher and other things and the train conductor. That was all. I brought all that together.
That was brand new.
Yeah, all brand new. Yeah, so
brilliant piece of using.
Yeah.
I mean, she's here. She wrote the play. She's an actress.
Right.
Yeah,
She's a good actress.
So that's how you. That's kind of my method, right?
So is there a future of collaboration between both of you?
Well, we've collaborated before this play as well on stage productions here as early as last Christmas. Indubitably.
Well, there is one that we're talking about,
Right.
and it's about our start together in the Chicken Roost, about those times.
I love it. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and the music of the time as well. A lot of it. Just one quick story about the music. Remember, there was booths and there's little jukeboxes on the booths, right? So there was one that was always, he was always getting up on tables and singing and whatever. And then there was always there was one jukebox that was stuck on Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. You're just too good to be true. I can't take my eyes off of you.
You're just too good to be true.
So we always hit that one, and yeah, it was beautiful. Like it was just those times, right? They're just beautiful. Great times growing up in Hamilton as young people. Music, dance, it was all a big part of our lives.
So the harmonica will show itself again.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It will be part. You'll be using the
It
harmonica.
It will. Without is fine with me. I've just finished a major movie, and I did play the harmonica in my role as a woman, but the composer cut out the harmonica because he had to put his score in. But in this one instance in the movie, I have a veil over and the harmonica's there, and everybody's dancing to the harmonica, but they're not dancing to harmonica music. But I'll play without the harmonica, and
I'd love to talk to you again about your movie, and thank you today for talking about Prairie Odyssey, and thank you both for your time. We are in the Pearl Company. We're in the location, so it's in Hamilton. It's Paula Stableford with Duke Interactive Media. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you again.